Welcome back, Island Hoppers. Today we're in Europe and we're going to talk about the top 20 places to visit while in Europe. We're going to go all across the Schengen region and some outlying areas. We're going to have timestamps below for those of you who want to bounce around to different destinations. But let's go ahead and get into this, starting out here in Barcelona. Barcelona is actually the fifth most populous urban area in all of the European Union, as well as the most populated city on the Mediterranean Sea with a population of 4.8 million people. It's also the capital of the region of Catalonia, right here in Spain. While in Barcelona, you can explore along the beaches as well as the old Gothic quarter and take in some of the art by Anton Gaudi and Picasso. Next up, we're headed to Paris, the home of the Eiffel Tower, and this is actually the most populous city in the European Union, and ranking fourth in all of Europe with 12 million people in the metro area. While in Paris, you can check out the Moulin Rouge, you can also check out the many parks, shopping malls, as well as the Cathedral Sacré-Cœur, and also the Palace of Versailles, obviously the Eiffel Tower. They're going to have many art museums here, like the Louvre Museum, where you can find the Mona Lisa. Next up, we're headed to Istanbul. This time we're outside of the European Union in the Schengen zone. We're in Turkey with a population well over 15 million. This is considered where East meets West because on the other side of the Bosphorus is actually Asia. Be sure to check out the Blue Mosque and Sophia Hagia, as well as the Grand Bazaar, the original shopping mall of the world. You can cross the bridge at the Golden Horn and even try some of the local doner kebab. Great food here in Turkey. Now we're headed back to the European Union to Prague. This old medieval city will take you back in time. You literally feel like you are back in the medieval times when walking around Prague. You can check out the four quarters of Prague, the Castle Quarter, the Little Quarter, the Old Town Quarter, and the New Town, also crossing the Charles Bridge. Hang out and have a beer at the Old Town Square, or go all the way up to the castle itself, the cathedral, where you can get views just like this. Next up, we're headed to Italy. This time we're in Rome, one of my favorite cities in all of Europe and one of the most popular cities because it's the home of the old Roman Empire, as well as the autonomous nation known as the Vatican City. Also, you can check out the Trevi Fountain, walk around the Colosseum where they actually had gladiator fights, and explore much of the Italian cuisine here in Rome, walking along the streets. So certainly indulge in some Italian pizza while here. Next up, we're actually headed to London. This one is not inside the European Union, but it is the third largest city in all of Europe and the capital of the United Kingdom. Drive across the old London Bridge and check out Big Ben. They also have a Ferris wheel along the Thames River here, next to the Palace of Westminster. London has an old city core, but it also is one of the most modern cities in all of Europe. You can also check out Piccadilly Circus. London is a very small city to explore. You can easily do it by foot. Next up, we're headed to Florence, the home of the Italian Renaissance, where Niccolo Machiavelli and Leonardo da Vinci all come from, along with many more. But when here, you're going to check out the Duomo, walk around the old town, cross the river on the Ponte Vecchio, try plenty of unique Italian food, and go inside the extremely beautiful cathedrals and churches that they have here, as well as check out the Statue of David by Michelangelo. Now we're headed to the home of Van Gogh, the Starry Night, Amsterdam. This is actually Amsterdam, right along the Amstel River, with a population of 1 million people, and it's famous for its canals, walking around here, and the tulip flowers, as well as the art scene. They have the Van Gogh Museum and the works by Rembrandt and Vermeer. Do check out a river cruise while here. Next up, we're actually headed to Budapest, right here in Hungary, another city in the Schengen visa zone. It is in the southeast of Europe with a population of 1.7 million people. It is also famous for its bathhouses and traditional Gothic quarters. Sitting along the banks of the Danube River, which also connects to Vienna, which we'll be showing you a little later, there's also a parliament building right there on the banks of that river. Here is a look at one of those bathhouses, making this the bathhouse capital of the world, in case you didn't know that. Next up, we're headed to Vienna, up the Danube River from Budapest, consistently ranked as the most livable city in the world by some metrics. It is the capital of Austria with a population of 1.8 million people. You can expect to find the Belvedere here, as well as several different cathedrals and an old town city square. It is a mix of old meets new in this very beautiful blend known as Vienna, Austria. While here, do be sure to try a schnitzel. Next up, we're headed to the wonderful city of Madrid. This is the capital of Spain with a population of 3.23 million people. Known for its outdoor gardens like El Caprico Park or the San Fernando Market, a great place to get some food while in town. Also exploring the city center where it's very bustling. Madrid is one of my favorite cities in all of Europe, certainly underrated. While in Madrid, do be sure to eat some tapas. Next up, we're headed to Lisbon, the capital of Portugal with a population of 600,000 people. This old city here is known for its colonial past, and they do speak Portuguese because of the Portuguese Empire that was established here many years ago. Be sure to check out some of the castles in the nearby area and in the city itself, like Torre de Belém. Also, it sits in an estuary known as Tagus, right under the Ponte Vasco da Gama Bridge. And from the coastal city of Lisboa, we're going to head to Zurich, right here landlocked in Switzerland. With a population of 500,000 people, Zurich is essentially the base camp for getting into the Swiss Alps, some of the most beautiful countryside you will find anywhere in Europe. Although Zurich is known as an economic leader for global finance, you can also explore the old town known as Alstad. 3 languages are commonly spoken here: French, Italian, and German. Much of the influence in Zurich, though, is German. Speaking of Germany, let's head over to Berlin, the capital of Germany, but also the capital of techno music in the world. Those of you who like to go out to nightclubs, Berlin is going to be the city that you're going to find the best nightclubs in all of Europe. And another city loaded with history. You can find many different museums. Of course, the Berlin Wall is here. And the population of Metro Berlin is 6.1 million people. That's actually a pretty big city by European standards. It is a very multicultural city at that. Next up, we're going to head south to Bavaria. This here is Munich, another large city in Germany with a metro population of 6 million people. The history here includes old Roman settlements, and you can even find the old medieval town right here in Munich. But what it's really known for is Oktoberfest. So if you like brats and beer, Munich is where you want to go, especially in the fall. And as we continue to show you around Europe, I want to remind you guys, if you check in the description below, we do have travel guides for each one of these cities independently. Next up, we're headed to Rotterdam. This is actually Europe's largest seaport, and it's also in the Netherlands. I actually prefer Rotterdam over Amsterdam. The population here is 655,000 people. It is going to be more modern than you will find in Amsterdam, and it's just south of Den Haag, which is the capital of the Netherlands. And speaking of capitals, if we head over to Brussels, Belgium, this here is the capital of the European Union, where the parliament is located. But Brussels is known for much more than that, including mussels. That's where the term mussels in Brussels comes from. Also Belgian waffles here, and it is an old Flemish capital. The metro population is 2.5 million. Many people, while visiting here, they like to explore around the old town and even go on a train to Bruges, right there on the coast, another Flemish coastal town. Next up, we're headed down to Switzerland. We're going to actually go to Geneva. This is actually considered more of the French side of Switzerland because it's right there on the border with France. But it's more than that. Geneva is the capital of luxury watch and jewelry making. It's also a food capital of Europe and surrounded by the Alps right here on Lake Geneva. It is one of the smaller cities on this list. One other thing I would like to mention, you can easily ride trains around Switzerland, and I do recommend you do that. Next up, we're actually headed up north to Copenhagen. This here is the capital of Denmark, and it's one of several different Scandinavian cities on this list. The population of Copenhagen is 650,000 people, and while here, I would recommend a stop at the amusement park known as Tivoli. There is also some history involving the Vikings, as this was one of the main epicenters for the Viking settlements right here in Copenhagen. Right across the way from Copenhagen is Malmö, and if you go up north from there, you go to Stockholm. And Stockholm is certainly one of the European cities that you should familiarize yourself with. This is the capital of Sweden and the largest city in all of Scandinavia. With a population of 1 million people, you can walk around the old Gothic quarter and find out more about the old Nordic culture that existed here, especially at the Seafaring Museum. Winters here are long and cold, but the summers are pleasant and beautiful. Next up, we're heading over to Fjordland. This is Oslo, Norway, the capital of Norway, with a population of 670,000 people. While here, you can check out the Viking Ship Museum and learn all about the Viking history. You can go to the Oslo Opera House, and they have a nice waterfront here where you can actually walk around and take in some of the ambiance. They have live music performers on the weekends. They also have street festivals in the weekends, but again, another place that has long, cold, dark winters. And actually now we're headed down south towards Poland to Warsaw, which is another beautiful city that you should definitely add to your list while visiting Europe. You can walk around the historical Old Town, which was mostly destroyed in World War II but has since been rebuilt. They also have a very modern new town with high-rise buildings. And then one of my favorite things to do in Poland is try the wide variety of Polish food, soups, the sausages, and so much more. So definitely take in some of that while here. Now we're going to head back over to Germany, to the most modern city in Germany, known as Frankfurt. The population is around 800,000 people, and it's filled with skyrises. This is one of the most modern cities in all of Europe. But it's also home to Europe's third largest airport, believe it or not. Even though it's a smaller city, it's still got a jumbo airport. You might actually connect out of here. And if you do, head into the old town and have yourself a Frankfurter, or a schnitzel, or a soup with hot dogs in it like this one. Next up, we're headed to Ireland. This one is Dublin. Believe it or not, Dublin is actually one of the most expensive cities in all of Europe, but it's certainly a city that you will always remember. You could go to some of the pubs. They've got the old Dubliner. They've got the old pub area that you can walk around. I highly recommend going out in the evening time and exploring that nighttime scene with the pubs. Because remember, Irish bars, Irish pubs are very popular all around the world, and Dublin is the headquarters for that. Now we're going to head down south to Athens, Greece. This is the capital of Greece with a population of 3.1 million people. It is a very large metropolis and home to the Acropolis of Athens that sits all the way up on the top of the hill. You would definitely want to go there. Also, Athens is basically the main landing point for arrival into Greece. Most people spend 24 to 48 hours before they go to the islands and explore those. So Athens, certainly a great place to get started in Greece, especially if you love good Greek food. Yeah, Island Hoppers, that was 25 best cities to visit in Europe. I hope you guys enjoyed that list, and if you did, please consider subscribing to this channel and watching some more of our other videos. We've got some from Greece, and we've got more coming for best islands around the world and the Caribbean. But for now, just watch our playlist from Europe if you enjoy Europe, and also consider watching our most recent video. Thank you to our subscribers and our channel members.